He was the heir to the throne, accustomed to luxury and adoration, and he saw little value in anything that didn't glitter with gold or power. Among the countless faces that vied for his attention was Alara, the daughter of a minor baron. She wasn't the most dazzling beauty at court, nor did she possess a vast dowry. What she had was a heart full of kindness and a quiet, observant nature. She often noticed the small things others missed. She'd bring a glass of cool water to a weary guard, offer a warm cloak to a shivering stable hand. She once saw Prince Alaric looking frustrated over a complex diplomatic letter. While other ladies fluttered their fans and offered flattery, Alara quietly placed a cup of calming chamomile tea on a nearby table, hoping it might soothe his temper. He was far more interested in the glamorous daughters of powerful dukes, women who could strengthen his future reign with alliances and wealth. Prince Alaric, eager to prove his worth as a warrior, led his knights into battle, but he was arrogant and underestimated his enemy. For the first time in his life, Prince Alaric was truly alone and powerless. Back in Eldoria, the court was in chaos. King Theron's forces had laid siege to the capital. Panic spread like wildfire. Many nobles, seeing the tide turn, began to secretly negotiate with the enemy, ready to betray their kingdom to save their own skins. The very people Alaric had courted and trusted were now plotting its downfall. But Alara was different. While others despaired or plotted, she acted. Her quiet nature had made her a keen observer of the castle's inner workings. She knew the secret passages, the forgotten tunnels, the daily routines of every guard and servant. She rallied those who remained loyal, the guards she'd given water to, the stable hands she'd warmed with cloaks, the kitchen staff she'd always treated with respect. These were the people the High Court had always ignored, but their loyalty was fierce and true. With her network of unassuming allies, Ilada organized a resistance from within the castle walls. They smuggled food to citizens, passed secret messages to loyalist commanders outside the city, and sabotaged the enemy's supplies. She used her knowledge of medicinal herbs, learned from her mother, to tend to the wounded. She became a silent, steadfast leader, a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. He remembered a gentle smile he had never returned. He remembered Alara. True worth wasn't in titles or wealth, but in the strength and goodness of one's heart. Driven by this new understanding and a desperate need to see Alara again, Alaric began to plan. He observed his captors, learning their routines. He used the clarity that desperation brings to find a weakness in his cells, Old luck. One stormy night, he managed to escape. His journey back to Eldoria was perilous. He traveled by night, hungry and hunted, but the thought of Alara and his transformed perspective on his own kingdom spurred him on. When he finally stumbled back into the capital, he found it transformed. The siege was still on, but the spirit of the people had not been broken. He learned of the secret resistance, the network of spies and helpers holding the city together, and at its heart, he learned, was Alara. He found her not in a grand hall, but in a makeshift infirmary, her face smudged with dirt as she bandaged a soldier's wound. Salute came up and for a moment didn't recognize the haggard man before her. Then their eyes met. Alaric saw not a plain girl, but a queen in spirit, radiating a strength and grace he had been too blind to see before. With Alaric's knowledge of the enemy army and Alara's internal network, they devised a brilliant plan. They coordinated a two-front attack, a surprise uprising from within the city led by Alara's resistance, and a strategic assault from the outside by the regrouped royal army, now led by a humbled and wiser prince. The plan worked perfectly. King Theron's forces were caught completely off guard and were decisively defeated. Eldoria was free. When Alaric returned to the palace, he was no longer the arrogant boy who had left it. He addressed his court, his voice clear and steady. He exposed the nobles who had betrayed the kingdom and honored the common folk who had saved it. Then, in front of everyone, he walked to Ella. He didn't offer her jewels or titles. He bowed before her, a prince bowing to the woman who had taught him what it meant to be truly noble. "Alara," he said, his voice filled with an emotion no one had ever heard from him before. "I was a fool, blinded by pride. You showed me that the greatest strength is not found in a crown, but in a kind heart. You saved our kingdom. You saved me." He took her hand. "Will you stand by my side, not just as a princess, but as my partner, my conscience, and my queen? Will you help me build a kingdom worthy of the goodness you've shown it?" Their love story became a legend, a reminder that true worth is often quiet.